Hi, I'm Donna with Donna's Things. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you so much for taking your time, joining in, coming to see what's going on this side of the camera. I really do appreciate it. And of course, if you are returning, no matter how many times it is, you know by heart, I appreciate your time also. So today's video is kind of random. I normally post videos on Tuesdays, or I have started to post videos on Tuesdays, usually in the afternoon, late afternoon, evening, and then I do participate in hashtag Friday Sews, and I do that every other Friday. But I do have other content for tomorrow, which will be Tuesday. I do have other content for that, but today I wanted to show you the beginning of my 8-piece spring ensemble. Now, I do want to let you know this is a lengthy video. I start off showing you a little bit of the fabrics, and then I am going through the sewing process of this dress. This is the first dress that I've made out of, no, the second piece, I'm sorry, that I have made out of the collection, and I'll talk about the pattern as we get into the video. So I know nobody has a whole hour to give over to watching my video, so you may want to break it up because it is about 50 minutes long, you know, so you may want to break it up. However, I hope that you do enjoy it. Find some time to check it out when you're not doing anything. I think it's really good. It's interesting. It's something different for me, but let me know in the comments how you like it. Let me know what you think. I didn't want to make the video too long, but I wanted to show you what I'm working on next, and that is my 8-piece fall ensemble. Last year I did an 8-piece fall ensemble, so I'm sorry, now I'm working on my 8-piece spring ensemble. So I have most of my fabrics here. Just want to show you what I'm going to be working with, just in case somebody wants to get the pattern and kind of sew along as I get moving on it. But the basics will be coming from Butterick 6670. Butterick 6670. And as you can see, you have a dress with a short sleeve. You have that version in a long sleeve. You have the long coat here. You have pants. You have a top. And of course, you have a skirt. The line drawings are very, very faint, so you probably can't see them that well. But it's Butterick 6670. And I am working with colors that are normally not in my color scheme. So in 2022, I made a pair of pants out of this striped fabric. And I'll talk about the fabrics and stuff when I actually finish the collection, which I'm hoping will be by the end of April. So this striped fabric, I made a pair of wide leg pants with the slit up the side. I don't have them right here in front of me. I've never worn them, but that's the basis of my collection because I do want to wear them, and I thought they would be great for spring colors. So what I'm going to be working with, we have this. I'm just going to keep this right here. So we have this. I purchased this caramel color. It's a shantung. And as you can see, it blends with it. So I'll have the striped pants, but out of this, I'll be making a top and a pair of shorts. I think I'm gonna be making shorts. It may end up being pants. I have enough to make pants. So this way, this top can go with the pants. You know, I'll be able to work all my pieces together. I also purchased the green. Now it's a little different than the green that's in here, but when it's all together, it blends nicely. The green will be a dress. I have enough for a dress and a pair of pants. So that will be what the green looks like. And then this piece of fabric right here, the stripe is for a long vest. I didn't want a jacket out of it because I didn't want striped sleeves, but this will be a long vest. So with the long vest, I'll be able to wear the green pants. So that'll be a combination. I could also, depending on, you remember, if I end up doing pants out of this, the long vest will go with that. And then you know that in general, you're going to purchase your, or have already, you're ready to wear black pants, black skirt, white tops, white t-shirt, black t-shirt, whatever you want to do. I will be making a white blouse. I don't yet have the fabric for that, but I do have one thing I got started on. I thought since it was spring, I would throw in something fun. And this is a cotton fabric by Michael Miller. If you can see it, you see the avocados, but it's the color palette. Here's your green, here's your caramel, here's your black, here's your white. And this is a skirt that I've already made to get the collection started. So even though it's just a fun piece, as you can see, everything, I know this looks a mess, everything's blending in quite nicely. The color scheme is really nice. And then I did a bonus piece, hold on. And that bonus piece is this fabric right here. This is a panel, it's knit. This is a panel, but it has the green and it has the black and it has the ivory. This yellow, of course, is not necessarily in the color palette, but there is yellow inside the avocado fabric, so it's just a touch of yellow. But this is just going to be just how you see it. I'm going to sew down the sides so it fits like a nice top. It'll have this full sleeve and just pull over my head. And with that piece, I can wear black leggings. I can wear the off-white color leggings, whichever I choose. So it's 8 pieces. There's about 10 different ways you'll be able to wear it, and you'll see more and more detail of it as I go along. So I'm working with this Butterick pattern 6670. The last time when I did the 8-piece fall ensemble, everything came from one pattern, but this is my basic pattern. I will have a different pattern for the long vest, and I will have a different pattern for the blouse, but the dress, the pants, the top, the shorts will all come from Butterick 6670. So I'm kind of excited and ready to get started on it. Spring is here, so let's see, this is April. We're in the second week of April, so I'm hoping to be finished by the end of April, maybe the first week of May. But I'm looking forward to seeing it all made up. So I'm getting ready to start cutting the pieces for my 8-piece collection. So I'm here at my cutting board. I'll be doing a little extra cutting because somebody cut my pattern pieces weren't cut like right on the line, so I didn't go back and cut it. It's just I'm going to have to use my just a different pair of scissors to cut it out. But this is the bodice back, cut on the fold, the bodice front, and then you have the skirt front and the skirt back. Now this is a dress, sort of like a wrap dress that I am making first. So it's this one right here. And I am doing it because the pants will match this caramel fabric. This is a shantung. So here's the dress itself, but it looks like they do the same dress to wear with the pants. So there's a top and a bottom, and then there's the facing and the sleeve. So I am going to cut those pieces out first. What I normally do is cut my pieces out. I take it to the serger. I serge all the edges, you know, of my pieces, and then I come back and do the markings. Sometimes I do the markings first, but you know, when you're messing with the serger, you can lose any slits or anything you might put in there. So I normally take that extra step and serge the pieces first, and then I go ahead and make my markings. So in this case, because of the way it's put together, I'm actually going to serge after I sew, because I'm going to be pressing my seams to one side rather than pressing them open. So even though I'm making several pieces, I'm going to cut the top and the bottoms first, make sure it fits, make sure I like it. Then I'll go back, cut out my sleeves and my facings and finish it up. And then the pants will be next. I bought this fabric not knowing what I was going to make. I bought 3 yards, and as you can see, it drapes down to my floor. So I have plenty for a pair of pants and for the facing. So I have the pieces cut out, and now since I'm not going to serge first, I'll go ahead and do my markings. Now this is just the first 4 pieces, the upper front and back, the lower front and back. When I do get ready to piece them together, I'm going to need my sleeve. So after I make these markings, I'll go ahead and cut the sleeve. The pattern sews the side seams, then puts the sleeve, the whole sleeve on. I like to do my sleeve flat, so I do the shoulder, then the sleeve, then close it all up. Now, according to the measurements that are on the tissue paper, they're not on the back of this pattern, but they are on the paper, the pattern pieces themselves. So according to this, I cut a size 14 to be closest to what my body measurements are. But one of the things I always have to do is the back is always a little bit too long from my neck to my waist and across my shoulder. So I automatically cut a size 12 around here, the shoulder, the arm, but when I do this, I am grading out to the 14. I don't normally cut size 14. I'm usually using a pattern of size 12, and then around here and the shoulder and the arm, I'm doing a 10. But according to these measurements, I'm cutting the 14, and just this top area, I did a size 12. So I did the 12, graded out to the 14, and the skirt pieces are automatically the 14. So I still snip my notches. So my notch, like the notch that's here, I still put a little snip there. Sometimes I cut the peak out, but most times I am just doing a little teeny snip for all of the markings. Now, this is why I serge first, because if I was serging everything, these snips would go away. So I put the snips for all the notches, but I do the markings. I do the pencil markings for the darts, because this dress does have bust darts in it. So I'm gonna make all of these markings, and then I'm gonna go over to the sewing machine. I don't always follow the directions on the guide sheet, but I will. I'm pretty much in line. I've already read them to see what they do, which is what I would do if I didn't have any directions at all. So I'll be making my darts, I'll be putting my shoulder seams together, and then I will make my skirt. This is a wrap, so I don't have to do any zippers. So I'll make the skirt bottom, and then I will move on to the sleeve. So I'm gonna go ahead and work on that now. So I was at my sewing machine, and I thought I was recording, and I am so sorry. I guess when I messed with the volume, the recording stopped. So what I have done was I made the dart in my front bodice, and I wanted you to see me make it because I like to finger press as I go along the way, but I'm so sorry. So the dart is in both front bodice pieces, and I have sewn the shoulder seams to the so that the front and the back are now together. I did that, and what I also did while I was at the machine was sew the left front and the right front to the back of the skirt bottom. And so I sew as many pieces as I can, and then I come over and iron. I wouldn't dare go any further, like trying to put pieces together without ironing. Now, I did kind of put it around me, and it seems like it's going to fit okay. So at this time, I am pressing. Now, I do have an ironing board, but when my pieces are this little, I use my pressing station. As I get a little bit further ahead, when I go to put the bottom and the top together, then you will find that I use my ironing board. Now, the directions are, the next direction tells us to sew the side seams on the bodice front and the bodice back, and then put the sleeve in. I like to put my sleeve in flat like this. I find it to be a little bit easier for me. Seems to come out better. I don't really have to worry about not smoothing out or easing out all of those gathers. So I will press this. I will then go over and serge all of the seams that I just sewed, and then I will proceed to put my sleeve in. Hopefully this time the recording doesn't stop. So I am here. You press the bust darts get pressed down, so you know, just a little bit of steam. I don't know who's ever sewn with shantung, but this shantung is a beautiful fabric, and actually it can make your garment turn out dressier. See how that looks? That looks really good. And this is what it looks like on the inside. But shantung can make your garment turn out dressier than what you had wanted it to be originally. So here's the wrong side where my dart is. So that part, the extra fabric, I press that down, not messing with this part, just this. I press it down so that when I do go to the right side of the garment to press the dart, I'm really just smoothing the seam and not having to smooth out that entire piece. So it's already nice and smooth. So again, this is what my dart looks like on the inside, and this is what my dart looks like on the outside. Then I have the shoulder seams, which I had done. My table, my pressing station, is still large enough for me to do that. So even though I am going to serge it, I didn't press my seams open. If I was going to press my seams open, I would have serged each piece first. So I press to the back, and it looks like this. These are 5/8 inch seams. And I'm going to press this one to the back. Just a little bit of steam. The shantung doesn't need that much. And it's nice and neat. It's looking like this. And I will take it to the serger. And all I'm going to do is serge the shoulder seams. And I'm doing that because when I put the sleeve in, I need my shoulder sleeve to be cleaned up. But I had already sewn the side, the skirt front and back. So first you give the seam on the wrong side, you give it a little press. I'm just ironing with a Black & Decker iron. I may later get a really, really good iron, but actually this iron irons really, really good. I do this. I press my seams first before I press them in the direction that they're going to go, whether I open them or if I iron them to one side. And I do that because it sets in the seam. Now, if this fabric wasn't as nice as it is, then I would be using my clapper. You know, you press your seam and you use this to hold the steam in. Now, I don't have to do that on this side, but when I go to iron them to the one side, because I'm going to press these seams the same way, I am going to press toward the back. So here's my right front. Remember, it's not closed up because this is a wrap, but here's my right front. I am turning the seam so that it presses to the back. I might use a little bit of steam. I don't really need that much. It presses beautifully on its own, but if it wasn't, I would press, and then I would put my clapper down to hold in the steam. Then I press, move the clapper down, then I press and move the clapper down. And guys, it really does work. So that's the right side. Now I have my left front, which I have attached to the back, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press the seam toward the back, give it a little press, and again, if I want, I'm using the clapper on here because, you know, we're showing. If you've sewn shantung, you would know you really don't need this clapper. It's such a beautiful fabric that it does what you want it to do. So at this point, I'm going to set my skirt to the side. I'm going to serge my shoulder top first. Then I'm going to pick up the skirt piece and serge these side seams. And then I'm going to proceed to put my sleeve in. I had not yet cut it out because I needed to make sure that the 12 that I cut around here and, you know, then 14 down here, I needed to make sure it was going to fit. And from what I can see from my little way I've tried it on so far, it's the same. So I'm going to cut the sleeve out in a size 12 because that's what I did on the bodice. But when I get to the end, I am going to grade out to the 14 so that everything lines up. So I'm going to go do those serge seams and then get ready to put in the sleeve. Okay, so I have put in both sleeves. Now I am back at my cutting board so that I could trim all the threads, like from the basting stitches, and then I will use my serger around the sleeve to clean it up and then close up my side seams. Now, when I originally cut my dress, the dress has an optional pocket. You can't really see it, but there's a pocket right here. You can see it on that line drawing. There's a pocket right there. I wasn't going to cut the pocket, but when I looked at it before I put the sleeve in, I looked at it and I decided I did want the pocket. Now the pocket is originally sewn in the side seam when you put the back and front of the skirt together. I didn't take my seam out because it was already serged. Remember, I went over to my serger to clean up my seams, and I didn't want to pick all of that. So I put the pocket in. Let me show you how I put my pocket on. I went on and cut out a pocket, and here's the pocket. It's just one, but where it would have been in the side seam here, I just put it as close to the seam as possible and stitched it close to the edge. So it looks pretty good. You know, I decided at the last minute that I wanted the pocket in there, so I went on and did that. So here's my skirt with the pocket. Now I'm going to cut these threads from the basting for the gathering for the sleeve, and then I'm going to go over to my serger and clean up the edges, like fix the edges on the serger from the sleeve. And then at that point I can close up the side seam. So I will close up the sleeve and the side seam in one shot, and then I will go back and serge those seams together. And then the next thing I will do will be connecting the bodice to the skirt. I am at the ironing station. Now I'm still on my flat board, but I am going to be working with the ham to press my sleeves. Now I did see something on my iron, so I will need to clean that up. So the seam gets pressed toward the sleeve. So I am using my ham so that I could get all the curves the way that they're supposed to be. And I'm being very careful because, like I said, I saw something on my iron, so I need to clean. But here it is. I am pressing that seam, just kind of pushing it over lightly. Give a little bit of steam, and so that curve, that sleeve arm could get in there just right. This side of my sleeve is not as flat. I see a little pucker. I think I did the pucker when I serged it, but I'll have to go back and take a look at it. Right now I'm just going to proceed with getting this pressed so that I can know that my sleeve is put in correctly. I may end up having to use the ironing board. Yeah, see, there's a little pucker right there. I'm going to have to go back and fix that. Now, I won't pull out the seam itself, I can see, I mean, I'll pull out the seam. I won't have to pull out the serger. I can see what I did, where it's not even at. So I'll be able to fix that. And I'll do that before I go any further, because I definitely wouldn't be able to go in after I close those seams up, you know, close those side seams up. It would be really hard to go back in there. So I'm going to go back and fix that, and then I am going to close up these side seams after I get this pressed the way it should press on this hem. This is a wide hem that I have. I do have the sleeve one also, but the hams, the clappers, these things really do. They really do work. They help a whole lot in the ironing process, especially with the sleeve, because you want to iron in that curve. Now, if I was on my iron board, it would be a little bit better, but we haven't pulled the ironing board out just yet. So we're just working with it like this. This side I'm pretty pleased with. This side I need to fix. Now, let me take you real quick over to my sewing table. This is what my table looks like while I am working. These are pieces that I have not cut. They go to the other part of the pattern, whether it's the blouse, the peplum, the skirt. Over here, I always, well, not always, but I keep the pattern that I'm working with up. Here's my directions right here, and these are the pieces that I have already sewn. I fold them up over there, but I leave them out just in case I need to use them. So here I have, wait a minute. Here I have my bodice, front and back put together. I need to fix, I really shouldn't even bother it because it's a little pucker and you barely can see it. So, I don't know. I may go back and fix this because I don't want to make it worse when it's just a little pucker. But here's the back and the front. Everything is clean already on the inside, serged really nicely on the inside. Here is the skirt. Front and back. Here's that pocket, which I'm glad I went back and put it. But here's the back. It's simple, just on the fold, but the front is looking like this because it wraps. So you got your left piece, your left skirt in there, your front in there, and this is what it looks like. So right now, let's sew these. We're going to pin it together. Now, sometimes I use pins, sometimes I use clips. I still like pins a lot, but sometimes you have a fabric that will stretch, and I think the pins stretch it even more, so it's wise to use clips for sure. But this shantung is not being stretched. It is it's pretty much sitting where it's going to sit. I'm changing pins. When I cut my fabric, I use these big pins. I do have the magnets. I do have the weights to cut my, use to hold my fabric down, but most of the time I use pins and go ahead and cut it out. But every now and then I may feel like using my weights in order to hold the fabric down. And I do have plenty of clips. Like I said, if this was a stretch fabric, I would, that's kind of messy under there. If this was a stretch fabric, I would be using the clips because I wouldn't want to stretch the fabric any more than what I have already done. I'm just clipping some of these threads that I overlooked. They're in the spot where they're going to get cut off with the serger, but I'm going to go ahead and cut them anyway. So here it is pinned. Here's the sleeve. Here's the underarm, and going right on down to the bodice. As you can see, I kept that dart sitting down. So I'm going to sew both sides of this. I'm going to try it on really, really quick. And as long as I don't have to do anything to it, I'm going to serge it. And then I will come back and pin the bodice to the skirt. And I'll go ahead and make that seam around. I'll try it on again. As long as it fits, I will serge that. And then I will be back. Okay, I am back, getting ready to pin the bodice to the skirt. As you can see, I did the side. I did go back and fix the sleeve. I got that pucker out. I couldn't stand it. But I did do the underarm, connecting the sleeve and the bodice and everything. That's done. Is serged on the inside. Both sides are done. And now I am pinning the bodice to the skirt. I am going to get that pinned down and sew that around. The next step after that will be the facing, but I will probably take a break. So when you have these serge threads like this, when I'm going to be sewing something and then serging it, I may leave these or snip them because the next serging step will get rid of them and clean them up. But when you get to the end and have to do something with these, of course, you know, you take a needle with a large eye and go ahead and thread that thread up into your seam here if you're able to do that. But I don't do that for every seam, but I definitely do it when I shouldn't say definitely, because there's times I haven't done it. It's so time consuming, but it's worth it because it keeps it cleaned up. And then you know that, let's get this pinned right. This pattern didn't have any notches in the back, and yeah, so I had to make my own little slit so that I would know where the middle of my dress was at. So not using a whole lot of pins this time in this garment, because like I said, this shantung, nothing is getting away from me. So it's, you know, it's a stable fabric. If I can get this right, it's in there. So I have pinned seam to seam, seam to seam, and I had a little slit here for the middle since they didn't have any notches, but there are notches in the front, just one. But you want to line it up, so you're going to line up that notch. Here it is right here. And you know my notches, now they're not just slits. I do cut the V out. I do cut that point out. And this is lining up to the edge, so that's good. That's why it's so important that you cut if you cut back on that neck or on the sleeve like I did, you got to make sure you do it on the bodice and on the sleeve itself. Otherwise, your seams aren't going to line up. But I got this all together. It's looking kind of cute. I'm glad I chose this fabric as opposed to the other fabric I was going to use, because I have a couple of different fabrics since this is an ensemble, and the other one would have been nice, but I wasn't sure what to do with this shantung because it was so stiff. I knew a pair of pants would be nice, and I was going to do the top that's on the pattern, but I kept looking at it, and excuse me, I got my pins, these smaller pins on the other side, behind me. So I kept looking at it, and I was feeling like the dress would just be so much, a better structure. So I got this pin. I'm going to go ahead and connect it. Then I'm going to put it on my mannequin, take a look at it, and then I'm going to take a little break. Camera's not really in the right place, but I am at my serger. My serger is to the right side of my sewing machine. So I sew, and then I can roll my chair over on the right side. And get this edge cleaned up. Coming along nice and neat. Got the serging done, and as we do with everything, we'll take it over to the ironing board, get it pressed, put it on the mannequin, take a break. This is what she's looking like. Turning out pretty good. That little side pocket is kind of cute, so I'm glad I did it. But this is the dress. And let me turn it around so you can see the back. It's not a perfect fit because this mannequin is not my size. Sleeves are looking good. This is just a wrinkle in the fabric. Very nice, looking very good. So, I'll see you guys when I am done facing hem, buttons to keep it closed, and that's it. Okay.